In this video, we're going to be talking about how to combine shapes to make more complex shapes, and also how to use some of the great alignment tools that exist within Illustrator to center our shapes on each other and align them with each other. So the first thing I want to do is talk about how this file is set up. I have three layers, layer 1, 2, and 3. This blue object is on the bottom layer, this is on the middle layer, and this is on the topmost layer, just so you can see that I moved them all in front of each other. So whenever we select an object in Illustrator, right, the properties panel over here changes and it's context sensitive, right? It's showing us the appearance and the transform, whereas if I'm clicked off, it's showing me information about my document. Now if we select two objects at once, so I'm just dragging across both of them. Alternatively, I can click and hold down Shift and select another object. We get a different context menu. We have the Align menu, the Pathfinder menu, and then some quick actions down here. For this video, we're going to be using the Align menu. Now, the Align menu has various different options within here. They're pretty self-explanatory. This first option is asking us what are we actually aligning it to. I'm going to say selection. And there's horizontal align left. There's horizontal align center. Align right. This will align their tops. They're already aligned. I'll just move them so you can see that. Then we have a vertical center and a vertical bottom. So you can see how these align with each other. So if I did center there and vertical center, it's going to be perfectly centered within the other object. Now let's say we have both of these selected, and instead of align to selection, we align to an artboard. Now whenever I hit align center, it's going to align it based on our actual artboard placement. So as I move it along with the align horizontal center and the align vertical center, it moved it to the exact center of our artboard. There's also key object. We're not going to cover that, but selection and artboard should take you through most of this. So this is a great way to very quickly align objects together. Just select both and smack them together if I really want to. Let's talk about how we combine these objects in what's called a compound path. Now we're going to be using the Pathfinder tools in a future video, and this is how you do more complex combinations. For this, we're going to use the compound path tool. So we select both of these, and let's say I want to punch a hole out of this. I'm going to go Object, Compound Path, and then Make. Now I'm going to undo that. There's also a keyboard shortcut that you should just remember. That's Command 8. We'll do the same thing. Now what this does, right, it punched a hole in our object, so I'm clicking in the middle and it's not selecting our object, but whenever I click on the colored sides, it's selecting the object. I can also release this compound path by going Object, Compound Path, Release, or I can do Shift, Command, Option, 8. It's a lot of keyboard shortcuts. And that will release that object from being part of its compound path. So let's say we align them like this. I select both. Object, Compound Path, Make. It's going to find the intersections and kind of punch that out. Now these are still editable actually. If I double click them, we're going to go into what's called isolation mode, which we haven't talked about too much, but it's actually a really useful thing. So if I double click this, notice the top of my screen changes and the rest of it gets all kind of grayed out. It's because we're now in isolation mode. We're only able to modify this object. In isolation mode, they don't move in tandem. I can move them separately. So I can adjust my compound path. And then to exit isolation mode, I simply go back one level, or I can just double click outside of my object. So again, just to take you through that one more time, I'm going to select this and do the very complex keyboard shortcut of releasing that compound path. So I have these two objects. I'm going to move this object and this object. I'll go ahead and align them. And then I'll do Command or Control 8. And that's built a compound path, so it's punched the top one out of the bottom one. In this case, if I want to modify this, I simply double-click to go into isolation mode. And then I can grab my circle and modify it, and then just double-click outside or click this little back arrow to get out of isolation mode. If I want to undo all of this, I just go to Object, Compound Path, Release. So this is how you use the alignment tools and the compound path tools in Illustrator.